Good morning. Joining us again on another Saturday at our weekly workshop, which happens on Saturdays. Thank you for joining from wherever you are, in Vietnam, in the US, and Europe, wherever you are, in Africa. Thank you for joining us. Deeply appreciate you joining us today. So let's quickly look at our COVID-19 map. So we're looking at the Johns Hopkins site. For those people who are not aware, Johns Hopkins has this tracker where it's tracking all the numbers for COVID-19, just to keep you on the news so that you know what's going on. It has a world map, then it has a US map where you look at where the US numbers are. Los Angeles County is leading across the US. But in terms of the number of deaths, it's in Queens in New York. And so just because that's what's in the news and that's what everybody's talking about, I open with that so that we have an update. But also there are some very interesting things that are happening in terms of testing. Our view has been very clear that ultimately most people are going to test positive. But the challenge now we have is, if you test positive, can you infect others? And there's a lot of new emerging research around that says that with the RNA load, the ribonucleic acid load that's measured either in a PCR or blood sample, we can actually look at the actual viral load. And they're saying viral loads above 33 or 34 for those people who have those viral loads are not infectious anymore. That's very interesting because I think that's the key issue around testing, since we don't actually have a cure or a solution for how you do that from the official stance in terms of a reactive strategy. So it's very important that we understand strategies, right? So there is an infection, you can have a prevention strategy, or you could have a reaction strategy, right? In terms of how you look at COVID-19, right? This is COVID-19. So the question is, which strategic direction you want to take? Do you want to wait until you get infected? Or do you want to make sure that you prevent the infection, right? And we are very clear on the prevention, that you focus on your immune system, right? And there are three parts to the immune system. We have the innate immune system. That's the one that we come with. We then have the adaptive. That's the one that learns. And then we have the learned immunity, which is the one that you get from vaccinations, right? So if you've been vaccinated for smallpox, for measles, you already have learned immunity. So whenever the measles or the smallpox virus comes, you already have a solution for it, which is circulating already in your blood. Adaptive immunity is when a new virus shows up and your body has the ability to build antibodies or immunity to it. The innate is just the one that allows us to survive day by day for all the bacteria and viruses that are inside of us. But how do you support this immune system, right? And there are three strategies that we suggest. Number one is lifestyle. And what are those lifestyle issues? Nutrition. We're going to talk just briefly about that. Nutrition, sleep, exercise, and stress, right? Very important lifestyle things that you ensure that you are eating the right things. First of all, you know that if you eat carbohydrates and you eat sugar, that actually increases your inflammation because of the sugar in the blood. And COVID-19 uses those inflammation markers as point for attacks. They call them inflammasomes. So therefore, reducing sugar during, or carbohydrates during an attack cycle is very helpful as a preventive strategy. Need to make sure you sleep properly, you exercise often, take fresh air, and you de-stress. We really have run classes on stress. You know, there are 4 stress issues. There is perception, there is sleep, there is sugar, and there's inflammation, which all ties back to that. Very important that you manage stress very well. The second strategy is supplementation. You take supplements, and we're very clear, and we know the supplements that actually are very helpful to ensure that you have the right nutrients that support the immune system, like zinc, selenium, vitamin C, and all of those things. And the last strategy is things that significantly reduce inflammation, right? And on that, we also add melatonin. So this lecture today is not about that, but I just wanted to give you a brief, high-level view of taking a prevention strategy, right? For example, every morning I wake up or during the day, I'm taking preventative strategies to ensure, because the virus is around and most people are going to get infected. And this prevention strategy for me is the same as my reactive strategy. And on top of that, I could then add the drugs that have already been approved to support the transition, which is the hydrochlorine and combined with some of the antibiotics as the standard rudimentary drug. Most of the research is pointing to that, and most of that is currently deployed. So it's good that I have that as a prescription already written. I have it in my cupboard just in case, right? So you've got your reactive strategy, and so once you have a prevention strategy and a reaction strategy, then there's no need to fear, because you're ready whatever comes and whatever may, right? Some of the lifestyle issues that are in dispute are masks and shields, and causing a lot of turbulence. Some people are fighting over that issue. I think it's an issue of choice. I don't wear masks, I don't wear a shield. But more importantly is what we call reducing your bacterial load. This one is a very important issue, because when you reduce your bacterial load, you're actually reducing the impact that your immune system has to respond to. And how do you do that? You wash your face, you wash your mouth often, and make sure that you reduce the bacteria in your mouth. You brush your teeth. You want to really be very healthy, because there's a lot of bacterial culture in your mouth. Wash your hands, wash your face often, wash your feet, actually shower. It's very important, as often as you can. And make sure you change your sheets. So anything that accumulates bacteria from sweat and heat and things like that, you know bacteria loves those kind of places. And for those people who are vulnerable, if you have diabetes and the other things, you really want to make sure that you take the inflammation reduction supplements or medication that is actually going to bring down your inflammation, and therefore ensure that the viruses cannot attack those sites that are vulnerable in your architecture. So that's it for our update on COVID-19. So now let's go to the heart of the matter. Today we're talking about environmental wellness. So in our wellness architecture, give me a few minutes. In our wellness architecture, we talk about 4 things as a composite to wellness. 4 things drive the architecture of wellness. So we look at the environmental impact, environmental wellness. That's what we'll talk about today. We look at emotional. We spoke about that already. When we spoke about emotional, we focused on two things: stress, sleep, and overall, we're looking at hormones, which are the real drivers for our emotional wellness. Then we look at our nutritional wellness, where we are focused on micronutrients and macronutrients, right? And then we look at physical wellness, where we are looking at movement. Some people call that exercise, but we call it movement, and the ability to keep our muscles in shape and all of that. So in our architecture for wellness, these are the 4 things that we cover. It's very important that you understand that today we're going to focus on environmental wellness, but what are the things that impact wellness? What are the stressors on wellness? What causes our wellness status to change, right? I want to look at that in terms of stressors. Number 1, age. As we grow older, right? All right, so let's look at the stressors. Yeah, that's one of the stresses to wellness. Badly behaved people. You know, I posted on Facebook, they look like monkeys. Oh. They're uncivilized, right? So let's look at the stresses to wellness. Number 1 is age. Number 2 that we'll be talking about today are toxins, and we'll look at the toxins report. Number 3 is infections, and we looked at that already in looking at bacteria and viruses. Number 4 is stress, that we spoke about in terms of our emotional. Number 5 is genetics. And number 6, typically, it's nutrient deficiency, when you are not eating the right things. So these are the things that challenge our wellness, and really we call them the causes of chronic illness. And what is the difference between chronic illness and acute illness? Right? Acute illness is like a fever, something that's short, that you can actually recover from very quickly. But chronic illness is really challenging. It just kills you slowly, right? And as we've noticed with COVID-19, COVID-19 could be considered acute, kills you quickly, but you know, Americans prefer to die slowly rather than die quickly. So that's why we're all afraid of COVID-19, but we're not afraid of diabetes. We're not afraid of Alzheimer's. We're not afraid of dementia. They all kill us. So if you look at the death statistics, they actually kill more Americans than COVID-19. So now let's focus on the environmental wellness. Okay, over the last couple of weeks, we've been covering that whole space. So today we're going to focus on the environment. And there are 2 big issues in the environment. Number 1 is the outside environment and how we cope with on the inside, because of the things that we take from the outside into inside our bodies, and that is where the real issue lies. And the key area of focus is with toxins. So we're going to be exploring the toxins architecture today. So we're going to start by looking at the overall scope of this. Here, pass it around. We're going to look at the overall scope of this document on environmental well-being. Quick, so we can look at it. So let's look at the top of this document. For the people who are watching online, this document must have been attached on the website, so you can download that or you can open it and look at it. So let's walk through the document. Approximately 80,000 chemicals are currently used in the United States. Many have not been tested for their effect on humans, cell health, and our cells, tissues, and organs are constantly under attack from environmental toxins. So let's look at the toxins, the different kinds of toxins. Plastics, that's why it's not a good idea to drink water from plastic bottles. So let's look at what plastics. So we look at bisphenol A and phthalates, right? These are the chemicals that are in plastics, and these are the chemicals that drain into anything that we put in a plastic container. And the challenge is that when that plastic container is heated or it is exposed to sunlight and things like that, some of these materials are released into the water or into the food that is in the plastic. So let's look at the systems that it affects. Reproduction, endocrine, and fetal development. So a lot of people are not aware. That's why most women today have problems with reproduction, right? Because of their toxin load. And so for women who really want to get pregnant, it is very important that you do a detox. We actually have a protocol for women who want to get pregnant who've been on birth control pills to actually, for 6 months, clean their systems before they actually get pregnant. That way you can reduce your toxin load. Let's look at household dust, a very big issue. So the household has mycotoxins, which is mold, which you also find in a lot of dried food. That is not dried properly. And you also have phenols, and it affects your immune system, your liver, your nerves, your muscles. And then pesticides. You know, when we talk about toxins, that's the first one that everybody talks about. Pesticides. And atrazine. Actually, Karen, on the interview Karen had with me yesterday, we were talking about pesticides and glyphosate. And I said to Karen, these are the things we should be matching about, because these things are actually killing us more than police brutality. So it's stupid and ignorant for us not to pay attention on the more important things that we could actually change that affect more of us. And actually, a lot of these toxins kill poor people more than rich people. Why? Because more poor people are exposed to this nonsense. Let's look at water. How many Americans filter their water? Look at the xenoestrogens that are in the water. What are xenoestrogens? These are estrogens from plants, from animals, from different kinds of waste, also from from pharmaceuticals that people drain, right, flush down the drain. And these xenoestrogens actually affect women's cycle. And then there's dioxin, which is a really, really bad poison. Again, reproductive, skin, and liver. Furniture. We all buy cheap, fake furniture, right? And the furniture has fire retardants. Why? Because, you know, we'll burn ourselves all in our apartments. So they build furniture that doesn't burn because we are stupid, right? In other countries, people don't think about building furniture with fire retardants, but you know, if you're in a culture of weak and lazy and stupid people, you need to do things like that so they don't burn themselves out with their cigarette. They fall asleep smoking and, you know, they die, which we think we should let them die, right? If you're stupid and you burn yourself up, but you know, we put those fire retardants and now it ruins our health, right? We also have formaldehyde, which is very poisonous, and it affects our nervous system, our liver, and reproduction. And then, again, poor people are eating cheap fish. Oh, I eat fish. Where do you buy your fish? Oh, they don't even know. We just get it from Costco. Well, most of the fish that's cheap is farm-raised. Farm-raised fish has high levels of mercury and PCBs, right? Shouldn't we be matching for farm fish, right? Because it's killing most of you with invisible brutality, right? The one that you can't capture on your smartphone. So now that everybody has a smartphone, oh, we captured that brutality. But the farm fish is killing you brutally, and you can't catch that on your smartphones. So let's then talk about, continuing on this sheet, let's continue to talk about the process of detox and elimination. So before we go there, let's just look at some high-level things about, just at a very high level, we look at our toxic burden, right? How much is too much? And I'm going to show you the data, the labs that we run, right? Look at all the toxin sources I was just talking about: cleaning products, food and soil, water, air, skin products, all of that affecting our key organs, right? And these are really, and so the question is, how much is too much? And the question then comes up when we run what we call the toxicology reports. Most of our patients would run this. I find I do it mandatory for everyone, because knowing your toxic load, and here we are looking at what we call the toxic metals in your urine. Knowing your toxic load is very important. And for this particular patient, this is a sample patient. Don't panic, it's not your result. For this particular patient, you can see that about 3 or 4 are in the yellow and red. Let's look at what is in the yellow: aluminium. And typically you might think that perhaps it's something that it could be an implant or fillers. The next one that is almost in the yellow is lead, very dangerous. The next one that is actually in the red, this person must be eating farm fish. Mercury. I know they'll be thinking that because they're eating fish, they're actually healthy, right? And then we also have uranium. Wow, very dangerous. And when we run these labs, we find out that these levels are actually very high. Yes, and we're going to talk about some products, but let's look at the detox process first. And people always have a lot of questions about detox. And I love this little chat, because I am also starting a detox on Monday, and I'm going to be talking to you about the detox I'm starting. They say detox is better than a diet. So we tend to recommend that you should do a detox almost every 3 months. Because what happens? Fat is created to protect the body from toxins. That's really why we have excess fat, because it captures the toxin so it can store it from toxins and impurities, which creates unwanted weight. You know, some people say, I don't eat a lot, I exercise, I do everything, but I cannot lose weight. Typically, we would resort that it's either your hormones or it's toxins. And so a detox is a good idea. See what happens with dieting. Dieting, which is calorie cutting and exercising, results in fat loss, increasing toxic density. So if you lose fat just from dieting or caloric reduction, you increase your toxic density. And that results in what we call rebounding. And the rebounding is that as the toxic overload, it triggers the body's need to create fat, and then you regain the weight. But let's look at what happens with detoxification. It removes toxins from the body, creates lean muscle, and releases excess fat. And then it maintains a clean, balanced diet, keeps the body naturally lean, and reduces the toxic burden, right? So very, very important. Why detoxification, right, is important. So here, what are we using detox for? Number 1 is to reduce our toxic load. Number 2 is to release that unwanted fat, that typically visceral fat, which is stored around especially the liver and the kidney and the organs, because it's holding on to the toxins that would be really dangerous for our health. Okay? So now let's look at the detox process, then we're going to do a questionnaire. So we're now looking at this diagram, which is the process for detoxification and elimination. It's very interesting that you do a detox. You have to have a clinician guided process because of this second thing called, when you release the toxins, you need to have a process for eliminating them out of the body. If not, they're very dangerous. So let's look at that. The kidney blood, lymph, lungs, skin, digestive system, and liver work together to help your body detoxify toxins. Your liver is the primary detoxifying organ. It stores micronutrients and antioxidants and then uses them in the two important phases of detoxification, helping your body get rid of the toxins it is exposed to daily. We are exposed to toxins daily. And so, and the toxins, looking at the diagram, enter our body through the lungs. We breathe, right? Especially if you get into your car and the car's been sitting in the sun or overnight, all the toxins from all the leather and all the fixtures in your car is very dangerous for your health, right? We've said this on this program. When you step into your car and you start the car, you need to open the windows because the air that has accumulated in your car is toxic. You're breathing all those chemicals. Also through our skin and also through our gut, which is really the main one. And the liver is given the big job. The two lobes of the liver are giving the big job of cleaning these toxins out and then trying and express them. The toxins exit through the lungs, right? We breathe out some of the air. That's why they use breathalyzers now to actually understand your biochemistry. It's something we're going to be talking about here shortly. Through your colon, right, you poo and you pee the toxins. Through your skin when you sweat, and then through your kidneys, which is the pee that comes out. So those are the different ways in which the toxins are going to come out from you, right? We're not going to go on the second page. We're going to talk about that. I had mentioned some of these things before, some of the strategies. Most of the strategies for wellness are the same as the strategies we talked about here. Where did I talk about them? I can't remember. I think, but I cleaned it up. When we were talking about the prevention and the reduction, we spoke about diet, we spoke about stress, and how you actually reduce your toxin exposure. Let's quickly talk about how you reduce your toxin exposure, and then we'll go deep into detox. So you need to try and eat organic food as much as possible from source, so there's not a lot of distance from farm to table. You're trying to shorten that distance, right? Because the more the food stays through many hands, the more it acquires a lot of toxins. So you want to go to a farmer's market, you're buying from farm to the farmer's market to your food table. So it's then you know you've reduced the journey. You also want to drink filtered water from a glass, right? You need to use ceramic or glass for carrying and storing water. So when you go to, if you're buying water in a restaurant, you must always buy water in a bottle, in a glass bottle, right? Don't show off and buy water in a plastic bottle because you don't know the journey the water has been through. That's why in Europe and in the old days, all drinks were sold in glass bottles. The nice days. Those were the days when life was good. Now they know we're stupid and ignorant, so they sell us our drinks in plastic bottles and poison us, right? Because we're stupid. So if you're buying water in a restaurant, you're showing off, you buy mineral water, you buy sparkling water in a glass bottle, right? Sparkling water is very good for you, it helps with digestion. You also use organic household products, soaps, cleaners, and detergents. It's very important that you reduce, like we said about your bacterial load, you also want to reduce your toxin load. It's very important, it's part of your prevention. So now we're going to talk about the detox. We have lots of detox products here, but let's look at the 3 phases of detoxification. This one I didn't load, so you'd have to go with me and you pass that around. So let's just quickly look at the 3 phases of detoxification. So I'm going to show you pictures of it. You're going to zoom in, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
So step one, look at that liver, an unhealthy, those are in the intestines where we are trying to absorb the food. It looks fatty because it has a lot of stored fat that's holding onto the toxins, right? And you see what happens to the liver in the second phase, and then you see what happens in the third phase. And to transition, so we have instruments here to measure what we call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, right? The stenosis, when the liver becomes really, really accumulated with a lot of fat, and that fat we call visceral fat. That's the fat you don't see from outside. That's the fat that's around the organs, intestines, liver, kidney, and we have to break down that fat so that it can release the toxins so that we can remove those toxins out. Okay, it's very important. I'm not going to go into the technical details because I want to talk about some of the products that we use for that. So let's look at the products. Oops. So I'm going to start with the big one that I will be doing shortly from Monday. So this one is almost a 3-month detox, a continuous detox, where you do 5 days on, 2 days off for 3 months. It includes, oh, this is the wrong box. There's one that has EDTA. Can you show me that? So we are doing, including chelation as part of the detox itself. So this is a very intensive and long program because in spite of the fact that I eat well and I do all the things that I need to do, it's very challenging to actually lose some of the fat that is residual. Is that the one with EDTA? Thank you. So this one is the one that I'm actually gonna do. It's to restore the body's natural detox. It's a clear the path to health. The EDTA is the chelation, is the one that's gonna remove the metal and the calcium deposits. So it breaks down a lot of the residue or the calcification, and it breaks that down, and it breaks down all the fat and the toxins, and it has a lot of different enzymes, and it has a lot of antioxidants that are going to be part of that process. So it creates like an energy workhouse that is going to reinforce the engine. It's like when they come to do a deep clean in your house, that's really what a detox is. It puts chemicals, breaks down the toxins and the fat, then because most toxins are stored in fat-soluble environment, which is the fat. And to bring the toxins out so the body can release it, we have to break them down and then bring them into what we call water soluble. When they're water soluble, then we bind them and then we can excrete. It's a very interesting chemical process. It's like your body becomes a chemical plant, right? It looks at all the toxins and mold and biofilm and all those things that are locked up in the fat. It has to break the fat. When it breaks it, that's why during a detox on the first or second day you might feel sick slightly. It's not COVID-19. And if you die from that, it's not COVID-19. You died trying to detox. That's why you need to do it under clinical guidance so that we actually know exactly what you're doing. Once the toxins are released, you need to have the chemicals, the enzymes in place to bind them and make them water soluble for excretion. It's a very important process. You don't want to do this on your own using some stupid guide from the internet. You want to make sure it's a clinical process, it's done very well. If not, you could damage some of your internal organs. Very, very important. So let's look at one of our vendors. So we look at Eniva. It's a total body cleanse and detox. It's doctor formulated. It's a 7-day program. No dieting or fasting required. Karen would love this one. All those people who would love to eat, who don't want to diet who want to continue eating. And it also is very tasty, and look at all, it's non-GMO, gluten-free, vegetarian, cold blended, you know, and it has the great USA flag, made in the USA, right? Very important. It's a 7-day total cleanse, and this comes at $158. So you can check that on our page, on our shop. We have the Clear Change, and that one is a 10-day. That's from Metagenics. It's also a practitioner exclusive. You will not find this in the market. It has all the things that you need for a total detox. Look at all the supplement facts. It has a lot of essential nutrients to support a fully engaged program, right? It's research-based formulas and scientifically designed food plans to support that complete detox. That one is 119. We have the Core Restore from Automolecular. It's a 7-day, and I think we have a 14-day kit also. It revitalizing healthy liver function, right? It's really important we get the liver, and these are the things that are inside. We have a core support, a phytocore, an alpha base, and a core restore. All these products are critical in that process of the 3-phase, right? And look at the restore goals, right? It's to remove the burden of toxins, to restore the processing or elimination of toxins in the liver, and to revitalize, enhance liver detox pathways, and support GI function. And the GI function is for the elimination. So these programs are scientifically developed to ensure that you achieve what is required. We have a couple of products here. Poly Plus, which I take. It's a lipoic acid mineral complex, and it is a very powerful antioxidant. It helps support the energy systems that are required to support detox, right? So think about it. Why are antioxidants important in the detox process? The antioxidant is important in removing the outcomes from the ATP energy production process. It is important in removing that waste. When that waste accumulates in the cell, it becomes a problem for that cell. So what are the other things that eliminate waste out of the cell? Is fasting. The concept of autophagy also removes the waste out of the cell. So the antioxidant or fasting are ways in which you remove the excess things out of the cell. So we have a couple of products here as antioxidant. We have the MitoQ liver, really very expensive product, but this is from New Zealand. It's really well made. We have Metalloclear from different vendors here. We have the Metal Pool. We have Metalloclear from Metagenics, Research Nutritional, and Design for Health. We have the Metal X Synergy. All these products are to remove and bind the metal and bring them out. These are daily things that you take to reduce that toxic load. We have Everclear and something for the kidney and some detox products. So all these products are leading us towards ensuring that we can actually enhance and restore the liver function. So I have a questionnaire here, and we're going to do just the environmental well-being section. So pass it out. So let's look at a couple of questions here to actually get a sense about environmental well-being. So it's on the second page. You'll see that it says environmental well-being. You can keep the questionnaire. We've covered this 4 set of questions in our past. So let's look at the section that says environmental well-being. So there are a couple of questions there, which are the good things you should be doing. Do you avoid drinking from plastic bottles and cups and eating from plastic plates or containers? Very important. Your answer should be yes. Do you eat organic? If you're poor, you're going to say organic food is expensive, but so is when you get sick. Which one is expensive, buying organic food or buying cheap food and getting sick? Choices. There's a reason why people are poor and sick. Bad choices, right? Do you grow your own fruits or vegetables? Luke was going to say yes in his garden, right? So a lot of people are beginning to grow their own fruits and vegetables in their garden, whether it's a lemon or lime or avocado. Are you free from physical threats, right? Personal relationships or workplace? And why do they ask this question? It includes stress, because stress is a component of, are you free from emotional toxins? I didn't know we had emotional toxins, like personal relationships, workplace, or family. I think that the toxins in the family are good toxins for exploration, and you can turn them into some good chicken, right, and enjoy it. Do you use organic cleaners? No, you use cheap ones, because you go to Costco and those places and you think, I got a deal. Whether it's toilet tissue or whatever, right? You pack them because of COVID-19 and then kill yourself inside your house. Stupid, right? Then let's look at the things that you should not be doing. Do you smoke or vape? You know, the new trend is that if you vape, it's not actually smoking, but you're still killing yourself. Are you regularly exposed to secondhand smoke? That's very bad. I smoked for years. I stopped some years ago, and the best thing that happened to me. Have you lived or worked in a place with non-mold? Most of you live with mold, especially in your showers, because you don't wash your shower screens, and the mold builds up, and then you stand naked in the shower and all that mold goes into your body and you think you just showered. Not a good idea. So check out that mold. And the best way to kill the mold that is in your shower curtains is to ensure that you use Clorox. That's the best way to kill it and clean it properly. Do you get sick often, or have you taken antibiotics in the last 2 years? That's why we really strongly discourage people from taking antibiotics, because it actually compromises your GI architecture and therefore compromises your ability to continuously detox. Do you have mercury fillings in your teeth, right? Teeth fillings? And have you had your mercury fillings removed at the same time? Because whether when they put it, when you use it, and when they remove it, it releases some mercury into your system. So whenever you do that, you need to do a detox to remove that excess mercury. Have you been exposed to lead and other heavy metals, right? A lot of poor people drink water from the tap. Very bad. You saw what happened in Flint, right? So we cannot be continuously complain because we were ignorant. And what did I say yesterday on the interview with my daughter? I used the word fatuous. And what's fatuous again? It's people who are lazy and stupid.
Schwegbers.
Yes. Sorry?
Schwegbers.
Yeah, they're schwegbers. We call them people who have little spine. They have a weak spine. Spineless. They prefer to complain than to take responsibility. So environmental wellness, if you look at it mostly, it's really about habits and choices. We are always going to live in an environment that is toxic, unfortunately, right? All of modern life is pushing us towards a more toxic environment. the medications that we take, our food supply system, and all of this was to make life easy for us. That was the intention. But in that intention of making life easy, it also made us stupid. Because most American kids don't know how onions grow. I could challenge that questionnaire online. Do onions grow above the ground or below the ground? No, Karen, you can't answer. And if you're wrong, imagine what we're going to find out. Do carrots grow above the ground or below the ground? Do tomatoes grow above the ground or below the ground? I mean the fruit.
On trees.
Or do they grow at Costco?
That one.
Right. Or what about cabbage? Does cabbage grow under the ground or above the ground, right?
Above.
It's really amazing how we find that a lot of people don't know about food. They just go to the store and pick it up and nobody questions. For example, what was always really amazing when I came to the US was that people would go and buy a salad that's already packed in a plastic bag and they will eat it without washing it. Yeah. Shocking. Why don't you just buy a lettuce and chop it yourself, rinse it and make your own? My laziness is killing us. Laziness plus stupidity is called fatuous. It's worst. It's really, really challenging when we have lazy and stupid people. Do you understand? Like burning police cars and houses is gonna give you freedom. It's stupid, it's lazy, right? We need to do things that create value so that we can deliver value and capture value. When you're not creating value, you are useless and a waste to society and to yourself, right? So it's very important when we look at the environment, right, that we make sure we are not poisoning the environment by throwing our trash everywhere. Look at after the protest. We had to clean up after those losers. Because if you're protesting, why are you messing up the environment? Who's going to clean it for you? Right? We have to be responsible for the environment. Because in a way, we share the world together. And therefore, when that environment is poisoned, we cannot then complain that, oh, I went to the beach and there was plastic. Right? The other day we were walking on the beach and you could see the trash can in the beach overflowing. So you ask yourself the fundamental question. If you're going to eat on the beach, why can't you carry your trash home? Right? Why can't you carry your trash home? Who do you think is going to clean the beach for you? We're so irresponsible. And then there's a flood and all that trash is taken out to sea, then we complain. Because individually and collectively, we are very irresponsible about the environment. We're not paying attention and ensuring that we are careful and that our footprint is such that it's a responsible one. So the message as I close on this topic today is that the outside of our bodies where we live is our collective responsibility to keep that healthy, so that the things that we take inside of us are less toxic, and therefore the need for detox will be lighter, because continuous detox is also not really good for you. So reducing the toxic load is a very important preventive strategy, and a reactive strategy is then the detox that would then support reducing your toxic load and your fat loss. Do we have any questions online before we close?
Yes. You showed two of the same kind of detox, one with, I think you used the word chelation.
Chelation.
First of all, yeah, I wanted the definition of chelation and what's the difference between
well, you're asking me the definition of chelation. We all have Google. So tell those people who are asking to Google, right? It's right there on their phones.
Okay.
If not, they're lazy. They'll join those fatuous people.
Okay.
All right, so chelation is the way in which we use a chemical method to try and extract calcification, which is inside either the blood vessels or around a lot of the organs.
So I guess,
And it breaks down calcification. And chelation is a very dangerous process. We can do IV, and we can also use supplements for that process.
is that
So
why you
chela-
offer detox with and without chelation?
Yes, yes.
Chelation is, they use some medicine to remove metals so that
Yes.
they bind.
Yes,
Yes.
it's the binding.
Okay.
And that's what we also do. So chelation actually just increases the effectiveness
Of the detox.
of the detox and the binding.
But
yes.
it's dangerous, so not
Well,
everybody
you have
is.
to, no, it's not that it's dangerous. You
Okay.
have to do it under clinical supervision.
Okay.
Yeah, so that it's done properly.
Okay.
And that's what we recommend, that for people who have serious issues, for example,
Metal.
if we look at your heavy metal load, and for like this person who has a lot of mercury, we could recommend a chelation. But if it was just in the yellow area, a normal detox might help. But if it didn't, then we would have to do a chelation so we can actually take that mercury, bind it, and remove it because it's in a high quantity. So if you've been eating fish that is cheap fish, you would have high heavy metals in you.
So follow-up question would be, the detox that you're going on, being that it's a 3-month detox, is it going to be what they call like a soft detox, or?
No, it depends. There are alternatives. It could be light, it could be medium, or it could be intensive.
Okay.
I'm taking the intensive one.
You are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to do it. I haven't detoxed for quite a long time, about a year or two. So I want to do a proper detox. Because since I started my intermittent fasting and a lot of other things.
Are you going to be intermittent fasting and during your detox too?
Yes, I'll still have a
Interesting.
24-hour fast day, yes.
Oh, wow.
Inside the
Definitely
detox.
follow up with you in about a week, see how you're going.
No, on Wednesday we have a.
Yeah, no, I know.
I start my detox on Monday,
Okay.
and then the fast starts on Tuesday night.
Ooh.
So on Wednesday when you come
You're
here,
going to be mean.
yeah,
Basically.
I thought that I was naturally mean.
You're going to be hungry mean.
That's a very dangerous. I can eat look on sight. I'll be ravenous, right?
Yes.
Any other questions, Mike?
No.
No questions? Anything else?
Okay.
You have question?
I do.
Pauline, go ahead.
Regarding the environmental well-being, for example, you mentioned about the cleaners product. Any recommendation how to choose the appropriate
Good
or
question.
healthier option
Yeah,
for,
you did say
So
for
which?
cleaner products?
Yeah, what do you mean cleaner? I don't. It
You
depends. There are lots of
mentioned-
products.
You challenged
Yes.
Costco as if
Yes.
Yes. So if you
they are
Google,
toxins.
so if you Google online,
Good question.
you'll find out that there's a lot of organic products. For example, I use organic cleaners for my dry cleaning, right? So it's more expensive, but it's very important. Why? Because
Meaning
if
organic, like biodegradable?
yes,
or,
they don't use toxic products.
Eco-friendly.
Yeah, it's
Eco-friendly.
eco-friendly products. So they're biodegradable products, yes. And so I do that for my dry cleaning because I'm wearing the clothes all day. When you dry clean in the wrong kind of environment, you wear the clothes, all those chemicals are seeping into your body. The same thing with shampoo, with lipstick. I know most of you just buy lipstick, but if you buy cheap lipstick, the cheaper the lipstick, the more toxic it is. And then because most people who wear lipstick lick their lips about 5,000 times a day, and so the licking of that and the replenishing is just like you're increasing your toxic load. Then there are body creams, soaps, shampoos, you know, the whole collection, perfumes. You know, the thing is, the amazing thing about America, I've never seen a culture that loves cheap shit so much. And for anything to be cheap, it's bad quality if it has to go on your body. So stop being addicts to cheap bullshit. Okay? Yeah, question?
The genetic component of toxins is that there's parts of your
in your DNA that you're
Empty if it's
susceptible to?
No, the genetic
Like
aspect is a susceptibility in how well your detoxification, your natural detox system works. And the susceptibility that there is more opportunity for things to accumulate in your body. Those will be the underlying genetic issues. And what is the key driver for underlying detox at the cellular level is your antioxidant, the glutamine pathway. And so for some people that's compromised. So the ability to detox or for leverage the underlying antioxidants is very challenging. So that's the only place where there are some genetic issues that makes you susceptible to, and some people just overall would prefer just a slow detox rather than a very challenging detox system, because also of their immune system. Because if your immune system is already suppressed or compromised, then it's very difficult. You should do a more gentle detox so that your body can cope with that period, what we call the unstable phase, when the toxins have been released and they have to bind. During that period, it's a very dangerous period because now they are released, then the binding has to happen for them to be excreted. So that's where some genetic issues could
Is
be.
it helpful then to have your, at least your health DNA?
Yeah, it's good to take
It's
at
good
least
to
once
have that
empty.
one.
and
That's
leave
why
it
we
alone.
recommend that every patient that comes through here does a complete baseline, including your genetic sequencing. That way you know all the underlying susceptibilities as we look at all the programs. You know, a lot of people complain that it's expensive to do all the diagnostics, but if you don't do all of them, then it's like we're flying blind most of the time. So how much is it? $3,000 to do all the diagnostics, and you have all that data for reference.
I know I've asked this question before, but is there a difference between a detox and a cleanse? And if so, what is the difference?
Yes, you've asked it before. A
Yeah.
cleanse is what a lot of people do. They're just cleansing their pathways,
Okay.
the GI pathway. That's all you're doing. You're cleansing it because most of you have poo accumulated inside of you for 10 days, right? For example, protein, when you eat beef, it takes a long time for it to go through. So that's what a cleanse does. It's just cleaning the GI tract, right? So, but a detox, as we've just
Yeah.
walked through, it's a much more complicated process. So that's why people do a colonic cleanse.
Which is bad, correct? The
I will
colonic.
not recommend it because it could cause some damage to your colon.
Okay.
Yes.
Do fasting.
Yes.
Fasting,
Or you
whatever.
do fasting, it's another way to
Fasting is
cleanse.
better,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are different things out there. Any other comments, questions? Thank you for all of those watching. Thank you for joining us another day. Thank you for being here. And have a wonderful weekend and see you next week. Thank you.